Hello, welcome to English Learning Bee. Today we are gonna take a look at sentence variety. So first, why do we need to learn how to write different kinds of sentences? Because we need to improve the coherence of our writing or our speech. So first we're gonna take a look at simple sentence. So what is a simple sentence? A simple sentence is made of one subject, verb, and object. Let's take a look at this sentence. Tracy is a girl. The second sentence is she likes to play piano. So Tracy and she are the subjects here. Girl is an object here, and play piano is the verb and the object in the second sentence. In order to combine these two sentences together, the first thing that we can do is to construct a compound sentence. In a compound sentence, we have to use coordinating junction like for and nor, but, or, yet, so. So it's called fanboys. So we can combine these two sentences into one like this. Tracy is a girl and she likes to play piano. So this is the easiest way to solve this problem. If you are going to high school or if you are going to learn intermediate levels of English, this is the thing that I need you to do. We gotta learn how to make a complex sentence structure. So, a complex sentence structure is made out of one independent clause and one dependent clause. So, what is an independent clause and what is a dependent clause? Let's take a look here. A dependent clause is a group of words that contain a subject, verb, but it does not express a complete thought. Let's take a look at this example. When Stella studied in the library for her exam, or after I shower. So dependent clause is a clause that can stand on its own. So it doesn't make sense at all. It often comes with dependent markers like after, although, as if, because, before, even if, even though, if, in order to, since, though, unless, until, whatever, whenever, whether, and while. Independent clause is made out of a subject and a verb, and it can stand on its own, so that means the whole sentence makes sense. So it doesn't need the help of another sentence. So it is a complete sentence without the other part of sentence. Let's take a look here. Stella studied in the library for her exam. Nevertheless, she dozed off due to the lack of sleep. So some examples of dependent markers are also, consequently, furthermore, moreover, nevertheless, and therefore. So in this case, you can replace the semicolon with a full stop. So this means an independent clause can be a simple sentence or a complete sentence because it can stand on its own. Okay, so right now in a complex sentence structure, we have to combine these two types of clauses together, which are dependent clause and independent clause. For example, I bought a new laptop. This is the first sentence. It is very easy to maintain. This is the second sentence. So, we have to use a relative clause to combine them together. For example, I bought a new laptop that is very easy to maintain. So I use that, a defining relative clause to combine these two simple sentences together. Okay? She lives in London. She likes living in London. In order to connect these two sentences, I use the relative clause which. She lives in London, which she likes. However, there is a difference between which and like. That. Okay, however, there's a difference between which and that. That is a defining relative clause, but which is a non-defining relative clause. So what is a non-defining relative clause? It means we don't need this information. So whatever words after which, we don't need that. We don't need that piece of information after the word which. For example, let's take a look at this sentence. I live in London, which has some fantastic parks. So the clause which has fantastic parks is an unnecessary information. Everyone knows where London is, so we don't have to add extra information like this, which has some fantastic parks. Okay? But if we use a defining clause that, okay, it means the information that we use that to connect is an important piece of information. So we need that piece of information in order to make the whole sentence make sense. Okay, so let's take a look at the first example. I'm looking for a secretary who or that can use the computer well. So the first piece of information is I'm looking for a secretary. The second piece of information is that or who can use a computer well. So right now, we need that piece of information after the relative clause that. Okay, maybe he or she is somebody who can use the computer well. So I need to find a secretary with that kind of skill. Without that kind of skill, that is not the secretary I'm looking for. So in order for the whole sentence to make sense, I need to use a relative clause to combine them together. If I use a coordinating junction like and, I'm looking for a secretary and she can use the computer well, it still makes sense, but it is not that accurate and not that fluent. Okay, so let's take a look at second example. She has a son who is a doctor, or that is a doctor. So she has a son who works as a doctor. That is an important piece of information to make the whole sentence different. Okay, so that's why we need to use a redefining clause that or who. And what are the other defining clause? Let's take a look here. The other defining clauses are who, where, and when. For example, if I say I fall in love with the woman, we don't know which woman you are talking about, so we gotta use a relative clause who or that. Since it is a person, so we have to use who. I fall in love with the woman who lives next door. Now the question is, can we use that for a person? Yeah. You can use that for a person and you can use who for a person. So they are both the same in this case. If you wish to know more, you can join our class by signing up via Google Form or contact our customer service. Or we're gonna have ebooks coming up soon. So you can reach us to know more about this. I'll see you then.